Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Cabinet on Tuesday, 16th of March. It's 4:15 p.m. And once again, I welcome all Cabinet members, and I can see we've got quite a few councillors who are in attendance. Really pleased to see councillors in meetings, and I'm sure you will be brought in at the appropriate time, either questions or if you want to add in your comments onto the reports. We've got no apologies, so we've got a full house. Minutes of previous meetings. Anybody got any issues regarding the minutes? Can we approve them? Can I have a show of hands, nods, thumbs up? Thank you very much. Admission of the public. I think we've got two members of the public who are going to ask questions, so I'll bring them in at the right time. If any members have got declaration of interest, please do fill the form in and email it to Andrea after the meeting via email. Item 5, deputations and petitions. We do have a deputation, Andrea.
We've got a deputation from Margaret Dale, which relates to agenda item 8, so I'll just dial her into the meeting now.
We're going to put you on now, and you're 5 minutes from now. Over to you, Margaret.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, everyone, for allowing me to address the Cabinet today. The Small Town Centre report in front of you is very much welcomed, and I hope you've had a chance to have a look at our slides that we sent you. We know you're very busy and have a very long agenda ahead of you, but you will see from our slides that many of the ideas in the paper about transforming town centres fit very closely with our thinking. We know that town centres are changing, and this can be seen in the drop of footfall that is shown on slide 7, long before we ever heard of COVID. And it's widely accepted that the High Street now is far more than just a shopping centre. It's also very well known that car parking provision alone doesn't increase footfall. Slide 7 also shows the importance of the events and other things make a difference. In particular, markets, services and facilities, good places to meet, housing and places for people. Importance of this sort of provision and gives us the means of taking the action that we've been waiting for a long time in Home First. You'll see from slide 3 the amount of consultation that has been carried out over the last 10 years. The findings are summarised in slide 4, and there is considerable agreement amongst local people about the priorities. These are a modern market, opening up the river home, action to reduce congestion, but not by speeding up traffic, better and more public spaces for people to gather, better use of our heritage, tidying up and better lighting, encouragement for more walking and cycling, action to address climate change, and a refreshed brand and better promotion for the area. We're very keen to work in partnership. In fact, this is part of our DNA. We have strong and mature relationships between groups and experience of working together. You can see this from the way we worked on the development of the neighbourhood development plan. Home First is in a strong place to make wide use of any investment. We have a very low vacancy rate, 7.8%, which is about half that of Yorkshire and the North East. And we have an extremely high number of independent shops, 94%, which means that there is a degree of resilience. We very much welcome the chance to work more closely with Kirklees Council. We feel we have done as much as we can on our own, and we want to contribute to the collective good of the district, share our learning and add to the Commonwealth. We have a very strong foundation, and this paper, if you approve it today, will give us a means to work in partnership to ensure that Home First continues to be a special place, yet transform, so it remains a place where people want to spend time and money, be with others, and enjoy themselves. So I commend the Investing in Small Town Centres paper to you and look forward to a fruitful working relationship. Thank you, councillors.
Thank you, Margaret, and thank you for attendance and spending the time to send the excellent slides on the spreadsheet. It is really welcomed, and we do value everybody having an interest and input into the plans as we move forward. As you know, we've got an item on the agenda that will be talking about the small towns investment, and that is on the agenda, and I can't see any issue in not approving that. But you're right in what you're saying. There's a lot of positives out there, and you mentioned Home First. Home First has got its own special place in Kirklees, as have all the other towns of Home Firth and Batley and Cleckheaton and Heckman White, which are in the report. Once we agree the recommendations, subject to the Cabinet approving it, there will be a process where we will be engaging with everybody, and it's really great that we've already got a mature relationship in Home Firth. And the stuff you're talking about is so important because every day things are changing. The last 12 months have been very difficult, and I think it's an opportune moment that this report's come forward, and we once again really appreciate and thank you for attending. It's really appreciated, and we'll continue to work with you, and hopefully we'll get a plan in place and deliver something that is actually of real value that the community wants across all the towns we're talking about. So once again, thank you very much. We'll move on to item 6, which is questions by the members of the public. There's 2 public questions. The first one is from Mr. Balbia Uppal. Andre, do you want to read the first question, please?
Yes, Chair. On behalf of all of the trustees of the Seek Leisure Centre, Apna Venue, the Seek and local communities and all users of the centre, we would like to thank Kirklees Council, its officers and members with whom we have been working to reach this stage. It's always difficult to name everyone that's contributed to bringing this proposal to fruition, but we must pay tribute to the local authority officers, Giles Chappell and David Shepherd, as well as councillors Peter McBride and Graham Turner for their positive support and outlook, and also our appreciation to the leader of the council, Councillor Shabir Pandor, and the Chief Executive Jackie Gavin for their input. As most of you know, Apna Venue is located in the Euston ward, and again the support we have had from the ward members has been excellent. Our thanks to councillors Andrew Cooper, Karen Allison and Susan Lee Richards. As a community venue, we look forward to continuing to work with members and the local authority to further the aims and objectives of the organisation. The centre has an excellent track record of working with many communities and organisations. Please can we thank the council for its continued support and ask that agenda item 10 is approved by cabinet members as recommended by officers to enable the centre to continue to serve the interests of all of our communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. I think there was a question in there somewhere, Balbia. Firstly, thank you for working with the council throughout the last 12 months and more. We know that the Seek Leisure Centre, the Seek community in Kirklees is a very important part of our fabric of society, and we do also appreciate that the hard work that the Seek community, along with all the other communities, play that makes Kirklees the place it is. And I'd like to thank you on behalf of councillors that you mentioned, and also the Chief Exec, that we are always open to any community to work with us, and we also appreciate that your offer to actually start to build further bridges and work with the Seek Leisure Centre to actually address that wider issue around how we can develop a better cohesive and a more equal society. In terms of your question, we will take everything into account. Officer recommendations are very clear, and once again, thank you for attending and thank you for taking the time out to come and ask us the question and show your appreciation. But the appreciation goes both ways. Thank you very much. Andrea, second question, please.
Thanks. The second question is from Heather Peacock, and the question is, What can be done about the massive number of trees to be felled by Network Rail in their widening scheme? I was told in 2017 when they came through the Combe Valley felling the trackside trees, the council was powerless to act. Is there anything the council can do? And if yes, what?
Councillor Peter McBride, can I ask you to answer that question, please?
Thanks, Leader. There'll be a public inquiry, of course. We are powerless until we have no legal power to change anything. But the question is quite right to raise the issue of this is a matter of serious concern, albeit it's not within our power, it's in our area, and there is a concern, the loss of so many trees. We will work with Network Rail, we work with the local community also to minimise that damage and to work with them to achieve the best possible outcome. It's inevitable. If you're going to double track, you are going to have to clear a big area, and it's double tracking over a long area, something almost a mile. So, as I say, inevitably there's going to be a big loss. However, we can and will work with Network Rail to minimise this damage and to offset that damage.
Thank you, Councillor Peter McBride, and thank you for asking that question. Item 7, we've got 30 minutes for this. Questions by elected members. Have we got a list that's popped up on the screen, Richard?
Not yet.
Not yet. So whoever puts the name in first will go first. I'm going to purely follow what I see on the screen. Okay.
In your room. Martin Gold first.
Martin, you were fast on the draw. But you see, the reason why, don't worry, Martin, I've not started the clock yet, but I need to say, Martin, like clockwork, he's always here. I really appreciate him coming. And Martin, you're fast on the draw. So, question to you, mate.
Fastest finger first, thank you.
Fastest finger first, yes.
Thank you. In 15 days, K&H will come back into the council as a wholly run service. Could you tell us what plans there are for bringing this back into the council, rebranding the vehicles, rebranding staff uniforms, letterheads, all the stuff that goes with it? What will happen to the term K&H in 15 days?
Well, in 15 days, and I'll bring Councillor Scott, who will probably be more familiar with the detail, but I think it's a great move that we actually embarking on to bring the council back in-house. As you know, Councillor Bolt, we had a good debate in council. This journey has been difficult, and one of the things I want to do is assure our staff that they will all come into council and we will treat them like all our staff and we look after them, because the worst time to actually have a reorganisation is in the middle of the pandemic. But one of the things that I can assure K&H staff is we will make sure that we do everything we can to make sure that the transition is as smooth as possible. And in some ways, they were, in the eyes of the public, part of the council. What we're going to do is we're just going to formalise that. But Kathy, can I ask you to just provide some more details in terms of the vans, the rebranding, the logos, the offices, in terms of how that transition will go about? Councillor Kathy Scott.
Yeah, my apologies, Martin. I missed the question because I got cut off and I've just rejoined back in. Yeah, it is actively being looked at the moment, the rebranding. Obviously, there's a lot at the moment going on. I can't obviously give you too much at the moment because it'd be inaccurate, the title of what it's going to be rebranded, but they're going to be looking at obviously the stationery, workforce uniform. They're also going to be looking at obviously vehicles as well. So I will give you an update. It'll be imminent, so you'll just have to bear with me at the moment.
The other thing from a tenant point of view that we must also focus on is there will be a very extensive tenant consultation and engagement with all our tenants and various stakeholders, and it's important that we take everybody, especially the tenants and the staff, with us on this journey. Like Kathy says, right, yeah, once we actually get the detail agreed, then we will let all elected members know. I think it's only fair. Kathy, you got your hand up again?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. It's about the continuity.
You're on mute, Kathy. You've
Right.
muted
Yes.
yourself. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
It's about the it's about the continuity of service, Martin. And I think you agree that people expect a service, and we need to make sure that it's there for them. So that is our promise to anybody, any service that we deliver. We want to ensure that they're part of it.
Thank you, Martin. You got a supplementary?
Yes, thanks. I'm concerned that, as I say, we've only got 15 days, and the details of any transition in terms of rebranding haven't been finalised. But equally, that there's been no consideration about what the cost of a rebrand will be. I would hope that we'd see a paper, because obviously there's different ways of doing rebrands. You could do it organically, where as a vehicle comes to the end of its working life, it is phased out, and then the new vehicle has any new logo, etc. Because the cost of replacing the logos, I don't know how many vehicles we have in what used to be building services, but the cost of rebranding all those would be significant, as indeed is the cost of changing stationery. So, and all that obviously is coming out of HRA and the public account. Continuity of service, as Kathy says, is imperative, but the cost, and I'm sure Graham would accept that you have to be mindful of the public purse, and there's no use in going for a big bang on and rebrand when for the last 20 odd years the public have still called it council housing. We had a rebrand when it went to K&H and everything, and it didn't change what the public called it. To the public's eye, it is council housing, council services. So please, will you give consideration to not going for a big splash rebrand on the 1st of April and all the connotations that date would bring. Let's do it organically, cost effectively, and mindful of the public expenditure. Thanks.
And I can assure
Kathy,
you,
do you want to come in?
Yeah, I can assure you, Martin, that's what is being done. And as you say, it's still recognised as council housing. So continuity of service, people will recognise it as council housing. Delivery and colours and designs on the vehicles will be done gradually, but it's imperative that stationery and things like that are the most important things at the moment, and staff and bringing staff along with us, because they're key to this. So yeah, I take your point, Martin.
Yeah, thanks, Martin, for the question. Next question to Councillor Erin Hill. Erin, you got a question, please?
Thank you. It's a question for Councillor Davies. I was really pleased when we accepted the budget last month that there was a concrete commitment in there to engage young people with work around the environment and the climate emergency. You know, I think you can't underestimate the importance of that. I think it's a fantastic thing to do. And I also think it's, you know, we quite often comment on how young people from a really, really young age understand the importance of looking after our planet and the environment often better than most adults do. So I just wondered if you could give us some more information, or talk us through what that might look like on the ground, and how you're planning to get that off to a flying start.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Erin, and I absolutely agree with you. I think, you know, crucial that we engage with our young people, not just to tell them what's going on, but obviously for them to be involved, for them to feed into what we're doing. And I think we'd be pleased to hear that we're actually organised a young people's climate festival. It's unfortunately it's online because clearly we can't do that face to face at the moment. And that will be up and running next on the 23rd and 24th of this month. And the aim of that event is most certainly to do, as you just said, is to engage young people across Kirklees. And actually, with that in mind, the website that we're using is actually up and running. I had a look at it today. It looks very, very good. The team have done a fantastic job on it. And if people are interested, they can go to www.ourclimateourvoice.co.uk. So well worth a look at that. So Our Voice and Children's Services teams have been working on this with young people, and it's young people have helped us shape this as well. I must emphasize that. And certainly we've had feedback and an input from within our departments, but importantly, what we've been doing is working with local community groups and local environmental groups. And again, with the emphasis on looking at, across Kirklees, ensuring that we're trying as much as possible to include every area of our community. Schools have been engaged, which is clearly the obvious thing. We've had a really good response from primary schools, which I thought we would. It's a bit more difficult with secondary schools. I'm not saying teenagers are not interested. I think it's probably more to do with head teachers and other teachers with the pressure of exams and various other things. But what the secondary schools have said is that they'd be very interested in using the resources that we're putting in place going forward. But we're hoping, the last figure I saw was up towards 1,000 primary school children being involved. And we certainly want to make sure that, as I said, that a key objective of this is making sure that our young people feel part of what we're doing in terms of the climate change agenda, that they contribute, that they help us shape what we're doing. And this is not just the only way that we will do that. We are thinking of other activities, other initiatives, and really we are hoping from this festival next week we're going to get some really good ideas. One idea that we have got, which certainly we're working hard on, in line with us setting up the Kirklees Climate Commission, which will be up and running, should be certainly the back end of May. Then we are looking for potential youth commissioners to be part of that climate commission. Again, that they will be involved right at the heart of a key part of our plan in terms of driving forward towards net zero in 2038. There's a number of other things going on. There's actually, in addition to that, there's something called Motive Stars, which is a national awards scheme, which we're working with schools on, which is around promoting safer and greener, healthier travel to school. So in order to help them put together school travel plans with some achievable actions around that. So this isn't the only thing, but I think it is a major initiative for us. And we actually will be putting out some communication on this today and announcing this more widely. So that should be going out later today as well. And thanks again, Erin, for giving me the opportunity to talk about this. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to ask or any other comment.
Thank you. Yes, please. That sounds fantastic, and I think it's. I think you're probably right about the primary secondary thing, because, in my experience, just working with schools in my ward, it is often the very youngest children who are the most kind of enthusiastic. And I know we've talked in the past about how actually that's how you reach the parents. Their kids go home and start telling them off, because they're not putting things in the recycling, and they're not, they're leaving the tap running when they brush their teeth and all that kind of thing. I suppose my supplementary is about, and obviously this comes with a massive caveat about it being safe to go into schools again, and how the way that we as ward members work with schools will have changed after the pandemic, and schools may not be willing to have people in and all that kind of thing. But we have the materials that were developed as part of the Democracy Commission around working with schools about local government and local democracy. Are there any plans to have equivalent ones for ward members around working with schools around the climate emergency, or is that something we could tweak, something we've already got to do, or is that a good idea?
I can see that I'm looking for you to become a volunteer to get involved in this, Erin. It's something we've talked about, and to be upfront, we've not got that detail at this point, but I absolutely want to do that, because one of the key areas I've discussed with Colin Parr, Strategic Director, is about that engagement with communities and about how we work with communities, and clearly our ward members are crucial in that. So I'll be definitely accepting you as a volunteer, Erin. So thumbs up. And we'll be working on this. But yeah, that is one of the initiatives that we're looking at, and we are working on that. And we would hope, certainly by the time we get back to some kind of normality, we'd be in a position where we could roll that out. So yeah, really good. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Erin. Next question is to Councillor Yusra Hussain. Yusra, are you there?
Yep, I'm there. Thank you, Chair. My question is to
Are you there?
Council-
Are you here? Anyway, sorry. Yeah.
No worries. Yeah, my question is to Councillor Paul Davies. Is around, obviously we've got this fantastic initiatives going on across the borough in terms of investment in our towns and villages, and the regeneration plans in general. My question was around the development of our markets in Kirklees. I wanted some more insight into that and the development of them.
Okay, thanks,
Thank
thanks, Uzra. Perfect timing. We've got, as you know, there's an item later on about Dewsbury Market, so Councillor McBride will be talking about that in a bit more detail, I'm sure. Yeah, fantastic, really exciting times in terms of our markets. You know, whenever I talk to Chris Cotton, who heads up our markets, he's just brimming with enthusiasm every time we meet. Yeah, the council have been working, and Chris and his team have been working hard for the last 2 years, really, on developing a vision for markets in Kirklees. You know, really moving us forward to meet the needs of the 21st century shoppers. You know, so you know, not losing our heritage, but building on that and developing new and exciting approaches. What they're looking to do across Kirklees, and what we're looking to do, is develop really family-friendly social spaces, and I think I'll emphasize social spaces because it's more than just popping in and buying a few things. Hopefully, we'll have a very unique personal and ethical shopping experience, whereby, you know, there'll be new opportunities to test new approaches with new business ideas, and in addition, really good places to eat and places to be entertained. So it's a full experience rather than, as I say, just popping in and out very quickly. You're right, there's investment in 2 of our large markets, which I'll go into in a second, in Dewsbury and Huddersfield. And that we are certain will secure their future, but also help secure the future of many of the local businesses, because this isn't just about the markets, it's about how we bring people into the towns and secure the future of the town as a whole. Dewsbury is being developed, again, as I said earlier, with a mix of activities. It's retail, social, food, drink and entertainment. We're also looking at how we can establish street markets, or some more specialist street markets, to make sure that the centre of the town is really vibrant. And, you know, something that's really encouraging is the consultation exercise that Chris and his team did with the community in the Dewsbury area. 88% were in agreement with this new vision. So we've got a company on board called BDP. They're an architectural consultancy. They're designing the scheme at the moment, and there's already some initial design ideas pulled together. Once that's completed, obviously there'll be further consultation. We've clearly going to have to move the market, or the market traders, if you like, from where they are now. We do not want to lose that trade. We want to make sure that whilst we develop in the site, that we do everything we can to keep the market going, and in fact, if anything, enhance it. So what we'll be doing, and it's a major exercise, is moving those traders into the town, and those traders will be able to, again, keep the momentum going. And I think that's really exciting as well, because I think it'll make a massive difference to the middle of Dewsbury. So 15 million being invested in Dewsbury, and 2.4 million on that interim stage where we'll have the market out in the streets, if you like. Huddersfield, it's a similar picture in many ways, but there we merge in 2 markets into one. And again, it's this whole mix that we're looking at in terms of social space, retail, you know, eating places, entertainment. We're also, once again, looking at the whole idea of pop-up markets across the town. So having a very agile approach to this, many of those being specialist, and of course, many of them will be linked to events. And also Chris and his team are pulling ideas together for monthly events, and further specialist street markets as well. 18 million is going to be invested in the new Huddersfield market, which will be both indoor and outdoor. And at the moment, officers are evaluating responses to an invitation to tender for the design team. So Huddersfield is a little bit behind Dewsbury, so Dewsbury is leading the way, which is great. And I'm sure everybody's in Dewsbury is extremely pleased about that, and particularly some of the members in that area. Another area that Chris and the team are developing is around travelling markets, so that we don't forget the rest of Kirklees. And these travelling markets will move around Kirklees to different towns and different communities. And the idea that it'll be very place-based, get my words out. So there'll be a standard offer, but also there will be specifics that will relate to that particular community that they want. These could be weekly, they may be monthly. So that's ideas they're working on there. And of course, I can't leave markets without mentioning Home Firth. From my perspective as a ward councillor and obviously a portfolio holder, I'm also very excited about what we're looking at in Home Firth. We're very much taking a place-based approach here. As you know, back in 2018, we did decide, as a council decided, that it would no longer continue to operate the market. But what we are doing now is we're going through a process to find an appropriate organisation that can run the licence for the market in the town. And that licence holder, once they're established, will be able to, again, look at putting together a vibrant, modern, forward-looking market. That process is the application side of it is just coming to a close. The 19th is when those applications need to be in, and Chris and the team, are extremely busy, but they're pretty confident that they will be able to make that selection and do that by sort of late spring. So in total, we've got a situation where we know we've gone through a really tough time. All of our businesses have. Markets have been hit. Our traders have been hit. We've worked closely with them, Chris and his team, and I have to say, I am so impressed with Chris Cotton and his team. Amazing job. Just a call out for them. Last year during the first lockdown, the work they were doing in terms of supporting the community, not just the market traders, was unbelievable in terms of food provision. So part of our recovery from COVID is clearly ensuring that we've got vibrant, successful markets going forward, that we retain that element of our heritage, we build on that, and that we see successful markets which represent our communities, and our communities have a say in how they operate as well. So thanks, it's great that, and my apologies, Peter, if I probably said something you were going to say later on, but I've just I can't help myself on this area. I think it's one of the most exciting things that we're doing within Kirklees at the moment.
Thank you, Paul. Very comprehensive. Gustav, have you got supplementary?
Yeah, I was just going to say I was interested in the pop-up markets because I know Batley has got their own little market area. So I was really keen on knowing what pop-up markets sort of look like, really. But I don't know if there's a question you can answer right now. Or...
Yeah,
well, that's the question. Paul will probably try and explain what a pop-up market is.
Yeah,
because I'm really interested in my ward having a Batley market, so I'm just wondering how that.
I'm sure Paul will explain.
Yeah, very quickly, because I've taken up enough time, obviously. But pop-up market is very simple, Ezra. It's where we as a council, we obviously allocate space, which is safe space with the right provision, and where it may well be that there are different traders who come in different weeks who come up, and those pop-up markets may not be there every single week, and and it may even be that they sometimes appear on monthly basis. So, for example, if we've got council owned land which we can put up stalls safely within Batley when we feel there's a particular event that would warrant having that, or there's a particular theme that's been driven by some business in that area, then we can do that, and they'd be there to enhance business. So it may well be local businesses want to use some pop-up markets to actually support their own business. I think the other great thing, and particularly about pop-up markets, is it gives a fantastic opportunity for young entrepreneurs who really want to start who want to do something, and so therefore the costs are really low. They don't have to worry about doing something every single week, but they can make a start, and that's some of the ideas. But be very happy to have a chat, and if needs be, have a chat with Chris Cotton as well. So, okay.
Thank you, thanks, Councillor Paul Davies. We've got we've got two councillors who haven't spoken, and we've got Martin to come back again. So the first one who's not spoken so far is Councillor Habiban Zaman. Habiban, you got a question, please?
Yes, it's a question to our leader. I would like to ask you, in terms of the investment that you're wanting to talk about in terms of Batley, how will you, if you can give me a broad overview of that, and also how you intend on involving the local members, councillors?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor. Yeah, thank you, Councillor Habiban. Very, very good question. Obviously, we've got the small towns part of the report later on. I think it's on the next agenda item, so I don't want to say too many things about that. But I think one of the critical bits of the plan in terms of the next steps will be to actually talk to elected members. Elected members in all the 4 wards that I mentioned will be very, very critical, because I know that over the last 12 months and beyond, probably, they've had some major concerns that have been coming forward. Not least that, we want to actually start to address some of the major issues that have actually impacted on us since the high street and the way that the consumerism has changed. But at the same time, I think one of the things that I'd like to do is to make sure that the ward councillors, because you know your communities in your area, how we can engage our local residents, because every single voice will matter. At the moment, social media is very powerful, very strong, but I don't want to just hear the social media voices, because although that might be one element, there's another many thousands of people out there who have also got a voice. And what I will be looking at doing is the democratic structure we have and the democratic elected members that I've got, to actually engage them with the community, let them become the champions of the community, and every single voice is heard. And that way everybody will feel that they've got a stake in their town, be it Batley, be it Heckman-Wyke, be it Holmfirth, or be it Cleckheaton. And once we actually engage properly and feed all that into the delivery plan, people won't feel part of what's happening. It's about the heritage, it's about the transport links, it's about the traffic, it's about the infrastructure, it's about the connectivity, it's about the employment, it's about the skills, it's about how the high street works. There's so many things. It's about the climate, and we need to make sure that every single grassroots voice is heard, and councillors will be critical in that. You got supplementary, Habiban?
Thank you. No, thank you for that, Shafir.
Thank you. Councillor Fazila Lunat, you got a question, please?
Yes, thank you. My question is for Councillor McBride. Hello, Councillor McBride. Hi. No baby noises in the background. Hopefully she's asleep. We've previously had conversations about the build-up of traffic in my ward, and in particular near the train station. With the money that's coming from can you hear me? With the money that's coming from investment, the highways and investments, can we possibly look at exploring the possibility of the gyratory, especially now that the building that was blocking the plans of a gyratory system has come up for sale? Can we possibly have a look at exploring this? Thank you.
Well, the short answer is yes, Fazila. We can look at it, but something that would achieve that would have to be part of a major programme. We would have to seek the opportunity to get that specific investment when the time is opportune. And really, with so many of these things, it's a matter of waiting the opportunity to see where you could make a bid, because the size of what would be required, the cost would be way beyond this fund, and we would hope to be able to do this through the combined authority for a major, a substantial scheme. And so, yes, I would back that, but I think we're going to have to wait for that to come forward, and I will be supportive of our local ventures, yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Have you got a supplementary, Fazila?
No, I'm fine with that. I'm hoping that we can work together.
Just very quickly to add to that, as you know, the consultation will be something that we'll be taking very, very seriously, and what comes out from that will be discussion with our MPs. Now, we already know that we've got some fantastic schemes that are taking place in Dewsbury, and working very closely with the MP that's actually springboarded and delivering a lot more money. So we hope to actually make sure that we bring more inward investment. Thanks, Fazila. Martin, we've finally got to you now. I've not forgotten. Martin, you've got a question, please.
Yes, thank you. Don't let me interrupt the sound of filibustering. It's always great. I was always a fan of popular music.
Well, you're a good example. Everybody's followed your lead, you see. We'll get whole council chamber following you. Anyway,
well, they will, especially when you were texting them like you were doing earlier, saying, "Come on, put your name down on the list." Previously, Councillor Pandor, you said that with regard to the options at Cooper Bridge, there were Councillor McBride's opinions only. Is that still the fact, please? Is it Councillor? What's happening down there? Is that Councillor McBride's opinion only?
Look, what I will do, Martin, I said this last time, and I'll be very fair with you. This is not, I'm not trying to pull anything over your eyes. What I will do is, as far as this cabinet goes, we will get you a response regarding what the cabinet position is, right? Yeah, if that's not already happened, right? Yeah, I'll make sure it is. If you want to know Councillor McBride's opinion, I suggest you take that away from the cabinet, because I don't want to take too much time of cabinet time. If you want to know Councillor McBride's opinion, I'm sure he will share with you his opinions privately. But I will let you know in writing, so you've got it in writing, what our position is. Anyway, that brings us to the end of supplementary. Similar issue, Martin. I will allow you a supplementary.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Shabir. I think there's a communications issue, because we know what the cabinet's position is. Well, certainly we know what the officers are going to tell you what your position is, because they said that at scrutiny last week, that the three options which were previously on the table, as Councillor McBride has said, are scrapped. Now, I asked whether the matter was coming back to cabinet, and Councillor McBride wasn't sure, but the officers said last week at scrutiny. I think if you look back, Peter,
let me tell the meeting.
The officers then said that the exec team had decided that a paper was going to come to cabinet. So this is in the scrutiny, it's on the webcast. So we know what the cabinet position is going to be, that you're going to have a paper coming back to say that the three options which are off the table, which you said were Peter's opinion only and nothing meaningful, are off the table. And we await to see what the fourth option is. But it just seemed that, that there is a disconnect there when you don't know what the heck's happening with £70 million major schemes. Go on, Peter.
Martin. I'm chairing the meeting. Peter will share with you his opinions separately. I will reiterate what I've said already. And if you want to know what Peter's opinions are, I suggest you to have the conversation with him outside this meeting. Right. That brings us to the last of the deliberations on on councillors' question times. I really appreciate all the councillors coming here to ask questions. We'll move on now to item 8, which is investment in small towns centres. Now, actually, this is quite an opportune moment, because I know we've got a few Batley and Spen and Home Firth councillors in attendance. I don't want to say too many things, because I've already done quite a bit around this before the meeting, but it really heartens me to say that our investment plans are now coming out to fruition. We had Huddersfield Blueprint a few years ago, then we had the Dewsbury Master Plan. We move on to the phase 3 of our investment plan, which is looking at the 4 major town centres, namely Batley, Cleckheaton, Heckham Wyke and Home Firth. Although the investment initially is £1.5 million each, that will probably be a magnet to get more investment and more resources in. We'll be working with our MPs across all 4 constituencies to make sure that any further bids that we can tap into, we will use. This is all about making sure that we get our transport infrastructure in place, make sure that our high streets are actually in place, make sure that the traffic management issues that are causing a lot of havoc are addressed, making sure that the heritage of each of the towns and places is actually fully acknowledged. The lady, Margaret, who came to talk to us earlier on, she's got some excellent ideas. I was really amazed the kind of energy and motivation that she spoke with and the presentation. I also know that is already vibrant and alive and kicking in the other areas. It's a massive milestone. It's a step change in terms of what we're doing, despite the fact that the last 10 years has meant that we've actually had to cut £200 million from our budget. I think there's an air of optimism, there's hope, and there's some real delivery and really outcomes that we can actually move into as we go into the recovery. So I'd like to move off the recommendations that are highlighted in the report. Peter, do you want to second this?
I would like to comment on it, Chair.
Yes, comment as well, yes.
So when we announced the blueprints for Dewsbury and Huddersfield, we made it very clear our intent wasn't solely for 2 areas. Obviously, our biggest investment is going in those areas, but we did say we would respond proportionately to the fact that Kirklees is many faceted. It's made up of a series of townships and villages, and they in turn needed their own regeneration programme. And we promised that they would be brought forward. These first 4 are indicative of what we intend for all of our communities. And the reference has been to Holmfirth, Batley, Cleckheaton and Heckmondwike. These programmes will involve already what is planned for those areas and to develop on those and to shape the specifics with local members and with local members of the community. So we don't presume that we know exactly what's right for each of these areas. We do presume that local knowledge is important, and what can be brought to bear from that will be of great value. And I think what Margaret said earlier was really important. She's been trying to shape Holmfirth for quite some years, and I think the planning that she's put into this will be of great value in what we ultimately bring forward. Some of the ideas will be council, some of the ideas will come from the locality, and it will be shaped together with the community. And this will apply to each of those 4 areas, and in turn to all the other areas of townships which are not Huddersfield and Dewsbury. So this is a regeneration programme for the whole of Kirklees, not just for the 2 main towns. I can recommend this report. Shabir, we can't hear you.
Shh, don't spoil it, Peter.
Right, thanks, Peter. Okay, we've got some members who want to come in. So if you want to speak on this item, you'll have to press or type in speak again. I've got Councillor Nigel Patrick, who was the first one to type speak on item 8. So Nigel, over to you, mate.
Thanks, Chair. Obviously, I welcome the proposed investment of £1.5 million over 3 years to help regenerate Holmfirth. It's much needed and long overdue. Over the last 5 years or so, this Labour Council has implemented a programme of closure in Holmfirth. Closed the tourist information shop and the council offices 4 years ago, and those buildings remain empty and dilapidated in the centre of the town. They tried to close the public toilets and then Holmfirth Civic Hall. Fortunately, local people rallied and those facilities were saved. Then 3 years ago, this Labour cabinet made the decision to withdraw support for the market in Holmfirth. The council had run the market down, not invested in it, and that has done untold damage to the fabric of the town. Since the budget decision to close the market, some people have come forward who wanted to run the market, but this Labour Council showed no interest and didn't engage at all with them. I'm led to believe, though, but it's not been confirmed, that some of this money will be spent to help bring back the market. That's a good thing. But had the council invested in the market over the last 10 years instead of running it down, we maybe could have used the 1.5 million somewhere else. This is a U-turn by this Labour Council. It's an admission of the mistakes they have made and the damage they have done to the town. If Labour listened, the market would never have been closed. Let's hope this money is spent wisely and not frittered away. A Labour cabinet needs to listen to all the voices in the town and not just those opinions expressed by its friends and political allies. The decisions this council makes can make or break a town. It's the council's job to put measures in place that attract shops, businesses and customers. But over recent years, we've seen a lack of investment and restrictions and no ambition from this Labour council. Whilst our neighbouring councils entice businesses away from Kirklees, this council has fallen behind. We've seen with the Home Firth Road scheme how this Labour council is prepared to sacrifice businesses and jobs to increase traffic flows by seconds. Shopkeepers who have kept going through the worst days of the pandemic, supplying food locally, are now facing a bleak future, not because of the pandemic, but because of the actions taken by this council. Restrictions do not attract businesses, they do not attract customers, and they do not encourage growth. If this Labour council doesn't wake up and recognise the damage it's doing to its towns through its parallel policies, no amount of investment will have the desired effect. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Patrick. To be honest, I'm a bit disappointed in what you said, and I'd have expected a little bit more realism and a little bit more honesty. And I'm sure you know, because you've been on this council longer than I have, that the last 10 years has been devastating for not just this council, for councils up and down the country, regardless of what political control they have. I sit on the LGA, which is chaired by James Jamieson, who's a really well-respected Conservative leader, a stalwart of a figure. And we all share the same concerns that the last 10 years have been devastated. The last 10 years has ripped the heart out of not just local government, but out of the communities. You mentioned closures of various services, but I'm really pleased to say that, we actually have not closed any town halls, because this was on the table. The library service, we've actually completely reconfigured that. Unfortunately, the children's centres, many have disappeared, but in this council, we've actually transformed them, and we've integrated them with the education hubs that have replaced them into something that's morphed into something better. And livelihoods have been lost. 1,000 staff have actually lost their jobs. Staff who are valuable to the work this council does. And then we complain that actually things aren't getting done. The reason why they're not getting done is because we don't have the same amount of money. It's through sheer financial management, prudent controls, and the way we've actually accounted for every single penny to make sure that the taxpayer gets their value for money. We've managed to actually keep up board. There was a time when we were in a situation where if we were spending the way we were and if we used our reserves the way we were, we would have gone bankrupt. But again, it was just pure financial management of our officers and our professionals, along with this cabinet, that has actually put us into a really good footing. And we see the results of that now. The reason why we can put this investment budget in now without actually going to the red is because of the way we actually manage the onslaught on local government, by central government. If you look at other councils, you mentioned neighbouring councils, they are making cuts. Calderdale Council making cuts of £40 million. They're cutting the service back, and they're cutting basic services like refuge. Leeds, they're having to cut staff. They're making tens of millions of pounds worth of cuts. And up and down the country, you see councils actually at breaking point or beyond. But this council, because of the hard work of every single councillor and the hard work of our officers, we can now boast the biggest investment plan this council has ever known in the history of Kirklees. That is positive news, and that's why we are able to come forward with a plan that actually invests in Home Firth, Cleckheaton, Batley, and Hickman-Wyke. And this is just a start. So what we need to do, we need to talk up the town. We don't need to talk it down. We don't want to start playing politics. I was hoping that we would not actually start looking at the 10 years and get too focused on that. We acknowledge that 10 years have been difficult because that was a national crisis. It was the bankers that actually completely ripped out the heart of humanity. That's how I see it, they ripped the heart of the humanity. And this recovery will actually put the heart back into community, back into society, back into neighbourhoods, back into climate, back into pride of place. That's what this budget is about. That's what this report's about. Anyway, I'll move on to the next question. Councillor Martin Ball. Martin, your question, please.
Yeah, thanks, Shabir. I suppose it's helpful for Cabinet that you're not under the Trade Description Act, because when Peter introduced this, he said this is a report for the whole of Kirklees, which clearly it isn't. It's a report which benefits 4 towns. There's far more areas that aren't being benefited than are, including Murfield.
Report, Martin, it mentions all the towns.
Yes, but the finances in here, Peter.
Let me chair the meeting, Councillor.
You tell him. You tell him.
Tell him, Martin.
The financial benefits for this report and this allocation are for 4 towns, and it's to be welcomed for those. So addressing the report and the benefits on paragraph 2.15, where the work can go for sustainable transport and climate change, culture, art, leisure, public realm and landscaping. Could I ask that consideration is given to making up a long-held missing link in Heckmondwike, that of the Ringway project? We built under planning and highways when we did a public rights-of-way diversion. We created a spur from the Greenway to Walkley Lane, and I was down that area the other day, having seen some horrendous videos from users that from Walkley Lane through to Brunswick Street for some time there's been industrial tipping has gone unchallenged. Now, my understanding is that illegal tipping, even on private land, the council has the powers to address it. If somebody is allowing tipping on their land, the council can tell them to remove it, and I would encourage that to be done. And I would therefore ask that consideration is given to using some of this money to act as a catalyst to improve, to connecting that link, because once you get to Brunswick Street at Heckmondwike, I believe the land is owned by the sustainable charity Sustrans, a partner that's working with the council on other schemes, and that would then link up the Greenway on the Dewsbury Moor end through Heckmondwike, out through Liversedge and out towards Rawfolds. Not only would that improve the active travel, health and everything else, but by the end of this year we'll see the flagship Spen Valley Leisure Centre come on stream. And if you've improved the sustainable travel links using the Ringway, then all those people who live in that area of Heckmondwike and will be able to come along the Ringway and go to Spen Baths and Leisure Centre without needing to catch buses. They'll be able to walk there, cycle there, because I know that we're putting in more cycle tracks. So obviously, whilst disappointed that Murfield is not included, could I ask that consideration is given in all these schemes? And obviously, we've discussed active travel in Batley before, an extension of the Batley Greenway, and then all those other ones link up. So can we have proper consideration for active travel, for community benefits and for health when you're spending this money? Thank you.
Yeah, just to refer to the report, Martin, page 21. The overall strategy actually evolves from the local plan, and within the local plan, we've got the 2 main centres which we know are Huddersfield and Dewsbury, and then you've got the four town centres which we're talking about in this report, and then underneath that you've got the 16 district centres which include Murfield, and then you've got the 61 localities within the authority, and the vision is that once we actually get up to full capacity is to start to address some issues across the whole of the council. That's what the ambition is, and that's what we are working towards. In terms of the details around Heckmondwike, I'm sure the councillors who are going to talk later on will mention that. But I welcome your comments, Martin, and we'll take them fully on board.
I just hope when you do the district centres, you don't do them alphabetically.
Well, you're M, so be nice to me, and you never know. Councillor Steve Hall, Heckmondwike councillor, maybe Steve might put some light on the issue that you've just raised, Martin. I'm sure he will. Steve, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Shabir. I've got to say regarding this money for town centres, I mean, as everybody knows, that's a councillor, we've had some stick over last year or so about town centres, shops closing and footfall declining. Then, of course, pandemic's not helped things. So we've had other problems as well regarding traffic and fatalities in Heckmondwike town centre, which we're addressing, and that work is well underway. So to get this money for Edmund White Town Centre on the back of the work that we're having done for making safer roads in the town centre, that is a big boost, and we're hoping that that will regenerate Edmund White Town Centre. It would be nice to see some shops come to us and ask us for some help with regarding shop fronts. That's a great thing. It brightens the place up. So all in all, we welcome every penny that we can get from this council. Labour control, Labour-led council, let's not forget that, colleagues. Just one thing what has been touched on, Martin touched on it, the ringway. You can sleep quite safely tonight and soundly because we're on with it. We've been on with it now for a week or so. So don't fret, love. Everything's been taken care of in Edmund White. Thank you for your concern. Keep up the good work, Shabir.
Thanks, Steve, and that's really good assurance, right? Yeah, to Councillor Martin Bull. I'm sure Martin will really appreciate that. You know, we can all sleep tight, Martin. Steve and the Heckmont Council is on with it, but honestly, it's not, Steve. I really welcome your input, and I'm sure that you know, this money will be used and well spent, especially with councils like yourselves looking over it to make sure that it's spent really wisely. Next person who wants to speak is Councillor Habiban Zaman.
Thank you, Shabir. I want to start by saying I, along with my ward colleagues, are absolutely delighted at the news that we're getting investment into Batley, which will create a modern, thriving and exciting town centre that everyone wants to visit and use. These plans that are being presented to us to transform Batley Town Centre are moving forward quickly, which will be a breath of new lease of life into the area by bringing significant investment and new jobs, providing multiple benefits for the entire community. Batley is a multicultural town with a rich culture and potential for a great future, where I am a councillor and a place where I feel immensely proud to be working and socialising in. For the last 10 years of austerity and the recent pandemic has impacted on Batley and its businesses through the lockdowns. The challenges it's brought to our town and communities across the whole of Kirklees needs inward investment from the community and private sector to strengthen community life in moving forward. We have invested in our towns and communities across the whole of Kirklees, 6 million across Batley and the 3 other small towns. Further investment in these centres will help the council to consolidate and have a strong local focal point for both existing and new communities. This administration, this Labour administration, I can honestly say, has worked tirelessly with council officers to help and support these communities. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank our council officers and our partners and everyone who's worked so hard to achieve whatever we have, and we have got to this point in Batley. We want the communities of Batley to take pride in their town and to engage and shape their town through the engagement process. I believe it's important to get the communities on board, hear their views and create a plan that the community will feel proud of. I, along with my colleagues, do feel overjoyed that we have an unprecedented opportunity to revitalise the town. It means a better and brighter future for Batley. It will provide a unique chance to accelerate the regeneration of the town, providing vibrancy and a place for people to enjoy, create jobs and support the growth of local businesses, which I welcome this opportunity to be that we are finally looking at Batley and our communities will feel very privileged. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Habiban. Thank you for your kind words and thanks for the acknowledgement of the hard work of officers. They have worked really, really hard. Next person who's on my list is Councillor Yusra Hussain. Yusra, do you want to speak on this?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I want to welcome the report and thank you. I would like to thank the leader of Kirklees Council, Councillor Pandor, and the Cabinet and officers for this excellent and smart budget for recovery in Kirklees. If anyone recalls, in February Council meeting, my main comments noted were 7 words: ambitious, smart, practical, and a budget to back it up. But most importantly, it was investment, investment, investment. And this report really does bring music to my ears. The pandemic, no doubt, has derailed so much economic progress across the world. However, Kirklees, the leader, Council, Pandor, and the Cabinet members have more than excelled my expectations during these unprecedented times. These partnerships have done so much to protect families and communities over the past year. It is the Labour administration that clearly invests in people and places. In Kirklees, this administration has committed to once again to one of the most ambitious capital investment plans this borough has ever seen. I mentioned in the February Council meeting that there was more to come, and here we are. This budget goes even further to support our local economy and promote an inclusive economy as well. It was 12 months ago that the council agreed to a budget inclusive investment, and they have absolutely delivered. They've laid out plans to transform the infrastructure of towns neighbours across Kirklees, £6 million in total investment, and biggest investment to come to towns and villages to date. It's great to hear that the leader and the cabinet is putting towns and villages at the heart of these investment plans. Now, here's the most exciting bit. I'm actually ecstatic and over the moon and delighted to hear that Batley, my hometown, and the ward I represent is one of the towns amongst others that have been invested in for physical transformation. The regeneration plan of my town in Batley will inevitably help businesses, but I'm delighted to note that the administration acknowledges that these businesses need council's help immediately too. So they are investing in business support services that can help our local economy and navigate through these current difficult waters caused by COVID-19 and the Brexit, while still investing another cash injection of 1.5 million on regeneration in my own ward in Batley. This will allow the places and the people of Batley to flourish to their full potential. Overall, the capital plan will help Batley and other towns to recover. This is a significant strategic investment that will help to deliver a more inclusive and vibrant town centre, offer for Batley amongst other towns and villages. Alongside this, the council will start up a retention policy which will target strategic growth opportunities too. To summarise, it's a £6 million investment, the biggest investment to come to date to towns. My own ward, Batley, is included in that, and that's just the start, as mentioned by Councillor Pandor earlier on. I'm more than happy to have received this report, and most importantly, it is a budget that leaves no one behind. So thank you so much for investing, and cheers to a bigger and brighter future for people of Batley and other towns and villages across the borough. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Easterson, for your kind words, and we'll keep on doing what we need to do. I've got Councillor Fazila Luna, Councillor David Hall, and then Councillor Akhtar, and then what I'll do is I'll move on to cabinet members. I want to try and bring the cabinet members at the end. So sorry, yeah. So we'll go with Councillor Fazila Luna. Fazila, are you there?
I'm here. Sorry.
Yes.
Thank you very much for this report, and I also, like my colleagues have said before, earlier just now, that I welcome this report. It's been long awaited that we have some money coming into Batley, and I did a mini dance and everything, and that my constituency and my people of Batley will be getting something for them basically, for them to have a better place to live, have a better place to work, and just enjoy Batley. I'm looking forward to working with the officers to making sure that the money that's coming in gets used in the right places and making sure the right projects are funded for. So yes, thank you very much for this.
Thank you, Fazila. We will look forward to working with you as well. Councillor David Hall, over to you, Dave.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. Thank you for the opportunity to just pass a few comments. I just had some questions as to regard where we go after this project. For instance, have we got any time scale as to when we might be moving on to the next tranche of smaller centres, so Birstall, Murfield and places like that, and how much money might be left in the pot, or whether there will be any more money to go to some of those places? I do welcome this investment. as others have across party. It is long overdue. I think it's worth saying that you will recall that, certainly Peter will recall, the Conservatives were moving amendments for several years to say that some of the investment that was planned for Dewsbury and Huddersfield should also be shared with the other towns. And I'm glad to see that at long last, other towns are going to get a fair share. My last comment was about consultation. And although most councillors in Kirklees will have a town centre of some description, either a village or a small town or even a large town, some of us don't have that. Do not have large towns or even village centres. We have small shops and little clusters of shops here and there. But it would be nice to be consulted about some of the towns that are nearest to us, because our residents, in our case in Liversedge and Gumbsall, practically all our residents would look to either Cleckheaton or Heckmondwike to shop in, and it would be nice to be involved to some degree in the consultations that are going on in those places, without, of course, wishing to tread on the toes of the elected councillors for those places. So just a few comments there from me. Thank you, Leader.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Hall. And I think I'll take the last bit first about the consultation. I think you're spot on. You know, we need to consult. We don't live in square boxes. You know, we need to make sure that, you know, we look at the coterminosity of wards, and there will be opportunity there for involvement. In terms of the detail regarding the next steps, Peter, can I pass the first part on to you regarding what next regarding the district centre and the other localities?
Yeah,
Peter?
The programme always intended that we would take four places at a time, and this will take place over a two or 3 year period. Subsequently, we will do much the same for 2 or 3 or 4 centres. Something in part will be affected by the amount of money at any given point in time. But broadly speaking, we intend to keep the programme as we've proposed it at the moment, to keep that ongoing on the same sort of basis indefinitely. Now, I can't guarantee for forever, but I would hope that we would achieve that objective. So far, we have. We promised after the commitments to Dewsbury and Huddersfield, there would be a systematic rollout, which is now coming to fruition. And in turn, our intent for the other places, we intend to keep that. I do take, David, your point that if you've not been included in this, obviously the developments in neighbouring areas are highly relevant to councillors in your area, and I appreciate that. And some of the developments that are taking place between Cleckheaton and Heckmondwike, going right through your ward, are relevant to all of those areas, and particularly the roads proposal, which is a £12 million scheme, which is about walking, about cycling, and improvements generally to the bus services in that area. Critically important to all people who live within those vicinities. So it's not as simple as, oh, the money's entirely going to be spent in Heckmondwike and entirely spent in Cleckheaton. Obviously, the benefits will spread out, and I would hope the involvement of local members.
Just to add to that, Dave, you may know that, and I think the beauty of this council is the way we can work on a cross-party basis, and an example of that is you may already know that the Penistone line, we'll be looking at putting a bid together with your deputy leader and councils on a cross-party basis, and MPs on a cross local authority basis. So when opportunities do come up, we will look at the opportunities, you know, as and when they come up, and the Penistone line is a really good example, because it's something that wasn't really on the radar of the combined authority, but because we managed to get the MPs all lined up, we managed to get all the ward councils lined up. I think everybody shared the same vision. You know, they put the political differences one side, and I'm hopeful that, you know, that bid will actually materialise very, very quickly, with a view to actually getting a bid in the next time, and again that shows that the maturity of the council. So we'll continue to do that, Dave, as well as we move forward. Thank you, Dave. Next question, Councillor Akhtar. I've seen that you're on the line, and you're a Batley councillor. Now, do you want to say anything, or are you here just to show support?
To say,
yes, yeah, okay, Councillor Akhtar. Yes, go on, Akhtar, over to you. But I didn't want to leave you out.
I've been waiting this information since 2004. Good news for us, Shabir, and for the people of the Batley, as well as Lackmanwijk and other parts of the Kirklees. I mean, as my ward colleagues, Habibul Zaman and Fazila Al-Munat said, as well as Yusra Hussain, I think it's a blooming great news for us, and we look forward. Will be completed in such a short time of period, we don't know. But it's a good news for us, and investment going to be doing in Butley for after a long time. Great news, Shabir Pandor, and also Cameron and the officer doing a good job.
Thank you, Councillor Atta, for your kind words. Yeah, and 2004, it sounds a long time, but at least we've got there. Right, okay. I'll open now to cabinet members. The first cabinet member I had was Councillor Viv Kendrick. So Viv, over to you.
Thank you, Shabir. I'm very frustrated to be made to wait, but there we are. I have to say that the initial discussions we had with officers on this project were really interesting and exciting, and obviously we welcome this development and this investment in Hetman-Wyke. We did emphasise the importance of green spaces and connections to the town and other places. Hetman-Wyke is geographically one of the smallest wards in Kirklees, but with one of the highest densities of residences, and green spaces are a bit thin on the ground for us within the ward, around the edges. And it isn't often I find myself agreeing totally with Councillor Martin Bolt, but I have to agree with him that the Ringway is the old railway line that is owned by Sustrans, apart from the last part, which is in private ownership. And if it was opened up and joined to the Greenway, it would be beneficial not only to people in Hetman-Wyke, but Liversedge and Gummersall and Cleckheaton and other places, because people come to the Greenway from all over. He's absolutely right in that case. In terms of the fact that there's fly tipping in that part of the Ringway, I have raised this already with officers. I have sent photographs. I have asked enforcement to address that with the current owners, because it does need clearing. One of the most important things has been listening to the voice of the people of Hetman-Wyke, who are absolutely committed and so desperately want the Ringway as part of their active travel route to connect to the Greenway. So anything within this funding that can help towards that, we would look to with huge enthusiasm. But it's a fantastic report and a fantastic way forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kendrick. Councillor Paul Davies. Paul?
Yeah, I'll try not to repeat what other people have said in this extremely important discussion and extremely important paper. I'm also, to say the least, supportive of this. This again is extremely exciting in terms of what we're doing outside of our two main centres. And I think, I'll echo something you said, Shabir. For me, this is not about party politics. This is about us as a council and about us as members as a whole, doing all we can to help our towns recover from COVID-19 and to build a really good future and sustainable future for all of our citizens. So it absolutely is working across the community. It's working with all groups and listening to people in terms of what they need, whether it's business, whether it's citizens, whether it's voluntary groups, etc. I think it's a great opportunity for us to, really put place-based work in action. Certainly, from my perspective, I think we just are so enthusiastic about getting on with this now and moving forward. But what is crucial, clearly, is to put in place solid plans which are clearly linked to ensuring that our town centres have a recovery path out of the current situation. But I would certainly echo, Shabir, what you said. I think this is something that we can all get behind as a council, as councillors, as a whole body. I really do not see this in any shape or form as being party political. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. A very good contribution. That this is not party political. This is about making sure that we get on with it and get everybody behind us. So that I welcome that. I don't see any more hands up unless I've missed anybody. Can we now? I propose that Councillor Peter McBride seconded the recommendation under 6.1. So can we go for the roll call, Andrea?
Thanks, Chair. Councillor Pandor.
4.
Councillor Davis.
4.
Councillor Kendrick.
4.
Councillor Corn.
4.
Councillor Mather. Councillor McBride.
4.
Councillor Patterson.
4.
Councillor Scott.
4.
And Councillor Turner.
4.
That's carried, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We move on to item 9 now. Protocol on concurrent powers. Councillor Peter, sorry, Councillor Graham Turner. Graham, you're moving this, please.
Yeah. So, Chair. Chair, thanks for that. This is a report on the proposed protocol on concurrent powers for the creation of a mayoral combined authority. As Cabinet will have noted when reading the papers, the recommendation is to delegate authority to the Chief Exec and the Leader of the Council to finalise the protocol and agree to any amendments and to sign the protocol on behalf of the Council. This is a recommendation that's found on page 31, section 6, item 2 of section 6. However, since the Cabinet papers were published and printed, there has been a meeting of Corporate Governance and Audit Committee. The meeting last Tuesday, after a lengthy debate, came to the conclusion that the group leaders should be involved in the finalising the protocol, rather than just the Chief Exec and Council Leader. Prior to the CGAC, there had been a workshop that discussed many aspects of the new role of the Mayor and how a working relationship will be developed and how we as a Council must scrutinise the work of the Mayor. Having been at both the workshop and the GCAC and listened to the discussion that took place, I am of the opinion that in this instance we should accept the recommendation of the GCAC and this report to include all group leaders and amend point 2 of the recommendations to reflect this. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I would like to support that. I think it's got common sense. We need to get everybody behind this. So I can't see anybody putting their hands up. So can we go for the roll call? I second that. Yes, I second that. Thank you, Richard. Richard's reminded me that I need to second it. I have done. Can we go for the roll call, please?
Thanks, Chair. Councillor Pandor.
Yes.
Councillor Davis.
4.
Councillor Kendrick.
4.
Councillor Corn.
4.
Councillor Mather.
4.
Councillor McBride.
4.
Councillor Patterson.
4.
Councillor Scott.
4.
And Councillor Turner.
4.
That carried, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item 10, disposal of freehold reversion, Upna Centre. Councillor Turner, to move.
Yeah,
Graham.
Chair, thank you. It's me again. As we've heard from Balbir, there has been very significant time and effort spent on getting to today's report, and I would like to thank him for his very kind words, and I know officers will appreciate that. As he pointed out, there has been real commitment to support the Apner Centre from corporate landlord to our communities team. Everyone has worked hard to ensure this important community asset is supported in any way we can to secure its future. With the continued support of the local board members and the community, and also its trustees, I'm sure the centre will continue to provide a much needed facility and will go for strength in the coming years. This report seeks Cabinet approval to transfer the freehold at nil consideration for the land that the Apney Centre is situated on. Currently, the Apney Centre pays the council an annual rent for the site. This transfer will remove that rent and therefore give the Apney Centre a small annual cash injection. In a world that has changed, it feels very much like the right thing to do and demonstrates our commitment to place-based working and doing with rather than to, and doing all we can to support our communities as we try to rebuild after the pandemic. Chair, can I ask Cabinet to approve the freehold transfer of the Apney Centre along with the assorted terms and conditions set out in today's report?
Thank you very much, Councillor Graham Turner. I'd like to second that report. I don't have anybody putting their hands up, so can we go for the roll call, please, Andrea?
Councillor Pandor.
4.
Councillor Davis.
4.
Councillor Kendrick.
4.
Councillor Corn.
4.
Councillor Mather.
4.
Councillor McBride.
4.
Councillor Patterson.
4.
Councillor Scott.
For.
And Councillor Turner.
For.
And carried, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrea. Item 11, Specialist Accommodation Strategy. Councillor Cassie Scott to introduce. Cassie?
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of the report is to approve the public consultation exercise in relation to a proposed new draft specialist accommodation strategy from 2021 to 2030, and to further report to Cabinet and Council to consider the outcomes of the consultation. Our new approach to the specialist accommodation is progressive, and in the past we have been reactive rather than proactive. And we have the opportunity now to make a more robust approach and unpick barriers and delays for creating a new development. We are clear that there is a series of short-term issues that need to be addressed to unblock and manage issues within specialist accommodation locally. We want accommodation to be appropriate. Having and developing accommodation that means that individuals are independent as possible for as long as possible. This includes working with particular groups such as older BME people living in Kirklees. We want accommodation to be local. We are clear that placing people a distance away from each other in Kirklees often does not generate the best outcomes. We want specialist supported accommodation to be affordable. We recognise that in the past we've placed people in care homes because it was the only option. Things need to change. We need to be more flexible. We want accommodation to be sustainable. I support the officer's recommendations set out in 6. So from 6.1 to 6.4, all the recommendations there. I want you to note the report and the draft Kirklees Specialist Accommodation Strategy at Appendix 1 in this report. Agreed that the Service Director for Skills and Regeneration carrying out the non-statutory consultation on a proposed draft Kirklees Specialist Accommodation Strategy for 2021 to 30. And I could request that any further reports detailing the outcome of the public consultation with the details of the proposed amendments together with the final Kirklees draft of the Specialist Accommodation Strategy for 2021-30 be on approval and the recommendations to full council for its approval and adoption as part of the council policy framework. This council and I know this administration are passionate and have a commitment in enabling people to live their lives as independently as possible, and it's about being safe in places for as long as possible, and we want to support that need. I move this recommendation.
I would like to second that recommendation. Is anybody that wants to speak? I can't see anybody's hands up. So, Andrea, can you take us through the... Oh, sorry, I've got Councillor David Hall. David, sorry, I just seen your name flash up. My apologies.
Sorry, no, it's my fault because I got my button pressed too late, but thanks for bringing me in. Can I thank Councillor Scott for this report? There's a lot in there which I would support. I think it's a really important thing for the council to be tackling, and I know she knows her stuff when she's talking about this particular item. I would just ask though, some years ago the administration took the decision not to enforce in our council properties that we would reserve some of those for the over 60s. It was a controversial decision at the time, and we were told that because we were part of the European Union then, we wouldn't be able to make such a distinction. Since we're no longer members of the European Union, can we have another look at whether we can actually reserve some of our properties for the over 60s, please? And could you please have a look at that?
Kathy?
Yeah, in response to that, Councillor Hall, we're already looking at that. I think it is something that we need to look at and address. So, yeah, we're already looking at that. Thumbs up.
Yeah,
Thank you, David.
I think Councillor Hall, I think that's a concern. There's a lot of councillors, and I appreciate your reminding us because you just jogged my memory. But I'm really pleased that Kathy's onto it. You know, she's doing a job really well. But it's something that we all need to sort of like make sure that we make sure that we have balanced neighbourhoods. That's what it's about, isn't it? Yeah, Kathy. So that's great. And Andrea, I can't see anybody else's hands up. So can we take the roll call, please?
Thanks, Chair. Councillor Pandor.
For.
Councillor Davis.
For.
Councillor Kendrick.
For.
Councillor Khan.
For.
Councillor Mather.
For.
Councillor McBride.
4.
Councillor Patterson.
4.
Councillor Scott.
4.
And Councillor Turner.
4.
And carried, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Item 12, Place Partnership Domestic Abuse Outcomes. Councillor Cassie Scott again.
Thank you, Chair. The report comes before Cabinet today to consider allocating the funding of 400,000 from the Place Partnership Domestic Abuse themed budget to build capacity to train and equip staff and communities to recognise the signs of domestic abuse and make links with local support networks to help mitigate the impact of domestic abuse. The Cabinet has been asked to approve this 400,000 revenue funding from the Place Partnership Domestic Abuse budget and deliver Place Partnership priorities. These priorities were to build capacity, train staff and voluntary community sector organisations to recognise the signs of domestic abuse and to ensure that links are made and local support networks have the provisions there. It's about equipping in all our communities and to mitigate the impact of domestic abuse on our children and young people and support professionals working with families, particularly in schools, and to respond effectively to domestic abuse. This meets the 7 Place Partnership shared priorities. It will enable communities to identify and respond effectively to a domestic abuse and to help improve the impact of domestic abuse on our young children. As I've said before, often we don't realise how a victim, you might just look at a victim, but it's about the whole family, how it affects everybody. And I want to draw attention to members today and say that in the media, a lot of voices in particular are females that are going unheard. And now's the time to support our victims and families. It's important. And I'd also like to make you aware that during the COVID period in 2020, April, May and June, and these are the national figures, which covers a period during the immediate and after the national lockdown, domestic abuse offences took up a larger proportion of all offences. That was 20% of what was reported of all the offences compared to the previous year in 2019, which was 15%. We have to tackle this head on, and I'm so proud of the place-based partnership because domestic abuse is an epidemic in itself and it needs urgent reform. And I think my fellow colleagues will agree that this administration, as well as our party, which I am proud of, are putting that top of their agenda. So in doing so, I move this Cabinet report and support the recommendation of 400,000 for the place-based partnership for domestic abuse themes. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cassie Scott. I can't really add anything on there because I think you've covered it so eloquently. It's the right thing to do. Domestic abuse, domestic violence, and especially, you know, Cassie quite rightly said, abuse towards women and girls. You know, there's a lot more to do, and hopefully this amount of money is welcome, but it's not enough because we've only got finite resources. But hopefully this will make or start to make the impact that we want to make. So I'd like to welcome and second the recommendations that Cassie's went through. Is anybody else wants to speak? Put your hands up. I can't see anybody. So Andrea, do you want to take us through the roll call, please?
Thanks, Chair. Councillor Pandur.
4.
Councillor Davies.
4.
Councillor Kendrick.
4.
Councillor Khan.
4.
Councillor Mather.
4.
Councillor McBride.
4.
Councillor Patterson.
4.
Councillor Scott.
4.
And Councillor Turner.
4.
Thanks, Chair. It's carried.
Thank you very much, Andrea. Item 14, corporate financial monitoring. Councillor Graham Turner, over to you.
Yeah, Chair, this is Q3 financial monitoring, and as Cabinet will see, we have continued to reduce our predicted year-end overspend to 1.9 million, and I'm very confident that we will deliver a balanced budget by year-end. As the understatement of the year, it's been, as we well know, very challenging over the last year. And if it's expected we deliver a balanced budget, it will be down to the hard work and commitment of all our staff who have gone much more than the extra mile during the last year. Chair, I ask Cabinet to accept this report and its recommendations on page 167 and 168.
Yeah, I would like to second that recommendation, but I've just missed item 13, so we'll come back to it. So that was my mistake. I am only human. I'm not a computer. So we'll come back to that later on. But I've got Councillor David Hall, who's indicated that he wants to speak. So David, over to you.
Thank you again. I'm just referring to the table which is at the bottom of page 150 in my bundle. And it sets out how much we've had to spend because of the unfortunate COVID pandemic and how much income we have lost because of the COVID pandemic. And it also says what the government has given us in order to recompense us for some of that. And in fact, the two balance. Can I also refer you to the report that was sent to the Corporate Scrutiny Committee last week, where I quote, overall in-year COVID-related additional spend forecast at 20.4 million, service income losses at 15.2 million. That adds up to 35.6 million. And then it says government COVID funding offsets at 35.6 million. Exactly what we've spent, we've recouped. In light of that, could the leader please confirm that in fact the government has met our extra costs and our loss of income in full?
Thank you, Councillor David Hall. What I will do is I will pass it on to my learned friend, Councillor Graham Turner, who will shed some light on the figures. Councillor Graham Turner, are you able to shed some light on the figures?
Yeah, I'll happily talk to it. Yes, at the moment, David, yes, but we're still a long way to go before the end of year end. As you well know, we've received grants from various pots of government money and that's kept coming in. So at this moment in time, it looks like it will balance, but this is only Q3. There will still, I suspect, be some overspent because there are some things that haven't been, that we thought would be covered and have not been covered. Things like car parking charges, we were told wouldn't be covered, despite the fact that we would remove those to help people get off public transport and use their cars during the period of the pandemic. But we'll wait and see at the end of the year because there's still a little bit to go. There's still some more money to be spent, and hopefully there's a bit more money to come in. So, yeah, thank you for that, David.
Got supplementary, Dave?
Yes, please. I did raise this at the budget meeting when I said there was no shortfall from what the government was supplying us to cope with COVID. I was virtually shouted down by many Labour members there who were crowing about a £14 million gap between the amount of money we've had to spend and the loss of income on COVID and the amount the government has given us to recompense us. So I wonder whether the leader might comment as to whether those were actually accurate comments from his members. And secondly, it does say at the bottom of page 167 that the Cabinet are assuming continued support of central government for the rest of the year. I can guarantee you that I will work very hard for whatever I can to make sure that that support still comes from the government, because we need it just like many of the other councils do. Thank you, Leader.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Hall, and I welcome your support to carry on lobbying the government along with the LGA and other councils to make sure that we get what is due to us. What the £40 million, I think Graham's explained this, and I'll bring Graham back in, but these are based on the forecast in terms of what the projections were. What I will do is I will actually ask Eamon to provide another analysis. Because you probably remember that we had a councillors meeting as well that Jackie called, and this actually came up in terms of what could the potential shortfall be in terms of the money we're spending and the money that's coming back in. And I know the LGA is doing some work around this as well. And again, this is the LGA, and it's not a political point. They are forecasting around 4 billion that there is still to do. And you're right, there will be some more money coming, and I hope that money comes sooner rather than later. But what might be an idea is what we need to do, just have another refresh and look at this, another analysis of this in terms of what exactly is the up-to-date position, because this is it's a changing face, isn't it, David? It changes regularly. But what we'll do is we'll actually just go back and refresh the figures and just analyse exactly what the income loss is, what the money that's coming, and what the shortfall is, and what the future projections are. But because I do know that there is a national issue that's going on, which we need to work together and make sure that we do actually bridge that gap wherever we can. Councillor Turner, do you want to add anything, please?
Yeah, just to the 14 million was actually correct, but it was at a point in time. And as I've pointed out earlier, it's a moving feast. Money comes in, money goes out. So until we get to the year end and we tot everything up, we won't be exactly sure of whether we're under whether we'll add less money than we spent until that figure's coming, because it's a moving feast. If you look at the table of grants that come in, it's a long list, because it comes from various different departments as well. Don't forget also that some of this money we've been asked to roll forward. So some of the shortfall from collection fund is going to be rolled forward for the next 2 to 3 years. So we'll have a better idea at the end of this year, but we fully won't shake out probably for at least 1 or 2 years down the line, as that under collection from the collection fund is rolled forward. So it's very, very fluid. As I say, we get different grants coming in at different times, different income losses. So let's wait and see at the end of the year, and let's wait and see in about another 12 or 18 months where we'll have a really, really true picture once it's all shaken, it worked its way through the system. And of course, the unknowns next year is what impact we may find on the collection front and council tax discount schemes. So there's a lot of work to do yet. There's a long way to go, David.
Any more questions, Dave? No, thank you. Okay, members. I can't see anybody else putting their hands up. So, Andrea, do you want to take us through the roll call, please?
Thanks, Chair. Councillor Pandor.
4.
Councillor Davis.
4.
Councillor Kendrick.
4.
Councillor Khan.
4.
Councillor Mather.
4.
Councillor McBride.
4.
Councillor Patterson.
4.
Councillor Scott.
4.
And Councillor Turner.
4.
Thanks, Chair. That's carried too.
Thank you, and thank you for taking us through that, Andrea. We'll go back to item 13, because like I said, I am only a human being. I did make a mistake, so we will rewind and go to item 13, Dewsbury Market. And can I invite Councillor Peter McBride to move this report? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The market was always going to be a linchpin in the future development of Dewsbury. This is a major investment, supported or otherwise by the government. We did expect an announcement about the Towns Fund that we would be a beneficiary. So far, we are not. But we are committed to Dewsbury, and its market will be key to its revival. The refurbishment will reduce the size of the market to roughly 200 stores, but the revived area will be a focus of trade with sales of a range of products, but predominantly food. So it'll be a place to visit and providing people with interesting, different opportunities. While refurbishment is taking place, the market will spread out into the centre of the town. And so there'll be a streetscape development, and this will be something new to Dewsbury. But when we've tried this in Huddersfield, it's been very successful, and I could anticipate that some of this not only will carry on even when the market is refurbished. Some feature of it will continue. So I look forward to that, and I think this will be a major development. So our commitment to the market is shown here, and so the market, together with the education centres and the arcade, will be key to the total development of Dewsbury. So each in turn, we're putting the key links in place. So I very much recommend this to the council.
Thank you, Councillor Peter McBride. I'd like to second that. I think it's a good scheme. I don't have anybody indicating to speak. Sorry, Councillor Cathy Scott. Cathy, over to you.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank this administration and welcome this investment in Dewsbury Market. Yes, things are changing. I think habits and styles in marketplaces have changed quite a lot over the years. and this refurbishment is needed, and it's going to complement our town centre. I know we're looking during the refurbishment, moving the stands in different locations, but it's also working with existing businesses so that they're part of it, their voice matters. And there's been a consultation of this. They've worked with stall holders, they've worked with local businesses. So I just think it's fantastic news, and it's about the shaping our places, and people's voices have been at the heart of this. Businesses' voices have been at the heart of this. And for me, this investment, not only is it about the refurbishment, it's about kickstarting Dewsbury, getting it into the place that we promised that we would have it. So great news.
Thank you, Councillor Cathy Scott. Andrea, can you take us through the roll call, please?
Thank you, Councillor Pandor.
Hang on, I wanted to speak.
Oh, sorry, you got your hand up. Sorry, Nahid. Oh, hands are suddenly going up. Right, sorry, Nahid, my fault. You haven't moved to Dewsbury, have you?
Well, I'd like to.
Anyway, go on, sorry.
I'd like to move to Dewsbury very much. I am speaking. Can you hear?
Yes, we can hear you.
So basically, it's an investment. It's a Labour investment, long time in coming, and I just think it's an amazing opportunity during these changing times. I have a fondness for markets because my dad used to be a market trader. You know, he was one of those immigrants that came to this country with a fiver in his pocket, and he had to do what he had to do in order to bring up his family. And I still remember the markets we used to go to because he used to rotate around Lancashire. So I just really think that one of the uniqueness of Dewsbury is the market. It definitely needed change, and this investment will bring that and bring people back into the uniqueness of markets. We all need to actually visit to actually enjoy what markets actually bring. The atmosphere is just great. I have fond memories, so I agree wholeheartedly with this investment. Thank you.
Thank you, Nahid. Was your first job in a market then?
I suppose you could say when I was about 10, yes.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Okay, Andrea, you can now take us through the roll call.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Councillor Pandor.
4.
Councillor Davies.
4.
Councillor Kendrick.
4.
Councillor Khan.
4.
Councillor Mather.
Yes.
Councillor McBride. 4. Yeah. Councillor Patterson.
4.
Councillor Scott.
4.
Councillor Turner.
4.
That's carried, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Item 15, Year of Music. Councillor Paul Davis. Paul, over to you to present the report.
Yeah, absolutely. So this report follows the June 2nd Cabinet decision to deliver a Year of Music in 2023. And the Year of Music is a programme that will be embedded in communities, with our children, young people and families, linked to education, schools. It's certainly will have an impact on health and well-being, a very positive impact, and importantly, will make a difference to our economy. There's been great engagement with the music community in developing this, so it's not been done in isolation. Again, this is very place-based. It follows our central theme, and it's not one size fits all. And it also is crucial that it builds on our cultural identity and heritage. I think it also differentiates itself a little bit from other cultural programs in that it's about creating the conditions for music to fulfill its potential in supporting communities. And so it is very much within this approach that we're looking to have the Year of Music as something that's going to support the economic and cultural recovery from COVID-19. And we're forming partnerships with the NHS to look how we can, support people that have suffered from COVID. We're looking at how we can bring life back into towns and villages through festivals, events, and live music. So I think, a very important initiative for us within Kirklees. So the year-long initiative will be a vehicle to support organisations and community and help communities heal, recover. This year's support, we're looking for just under 240,000. That will ensure the sector is invested in and supported to be able to deliver this year of music, whilst also going on a transformation process to ensure that the sector is more resilient and viable for the future. So it is building a very strong base. It'll be about investing in capacity, community development, marketing, evaluation framework and commissions. The report also requests the underwriting of costs for 2022, 2023 and 2023-24 in case the funding, sponsorship and sales targets are not reached. Hopefully that will be the case, but clearly we're looking to make sure we safeguard this plan going forward. With that, I would certainly recommend this paper to the Cabinet and point them to section 6, where you'll find the key officer recommendations and reasons.
Yeah, I'd like to second this report. It's music to my ears.
You've been waiting for a while for that.
I've been waiting for a while. Absolutely. We've been in too much lockdown. So this will be one way to actually get back out there and celebrate. You know, the Cleckington Folk Festival always go down really, really well. The Huddersfield Contemporary Music Festival. And I think this is something that's come at the right time. Now, you can put your hand up again in the corner, just put in speak. That's why I missed you last time. If you type in speak, it'll be easier. But anyway, I managed to spot your little hand go. So you want to speak?
Yes, I do. Thank you very much. I'm
Music
sorry.
to your ears as well.
No, I'm singing from the rooftops, so you didn't steal my thunder. I definitely support this. It's very timely, it's much needed, and it's diverse, it's inclusive. And, you know, apart from the long list of music festivals that you've just mentioned, Leader, I'm talking about the Bhangra, the Bollywood, and the rest of us can join in as well. It's not, I mean, I think when we talk about culture, I think people think about it too narrowly. It's very, very diverse. And I was saying at the last meeting, I don't know which one it was, that it was Councillor Walker who actually opened up my eyes to how diverse and inclusive it was, because I think I had narrow horizons. Growing up, it was all about learning English. So I didn't take part. We didn't have the capacity or the finances to actually enjoy the full breadth of what's available under the heading of culture. Because when people saw me, culture is just, you know, my visible difference rather than everything else I bring. So to me, I'm very, very excited. I hope that all the young people, all the communities that live in our district feel that they're included, they're able to take part, and they're able to enjoy the joy of music. So yes, I support this.
Right, okay, thanks, Naomi. Before we get the violins out, let's move to the vote. Anyway, Andrea, take us to the roll call, please.
Thanks, Chair. Councillor Pandul.
4.
Councillor Davies.
4.
Councillor Kendrick.
4.
Councillor Khan.
4.
Councillor Mather.
4.
Councillor McBride.
4.
Councillor Patterson.
4.
Councillor Scott.
4.
Councillor Turner.
4.
Thank you, Chair. It's carried.
Right, okay, we're going to take item 17 before item 16. And we'll first receive a short presentation from Mel. I hope you briefed Viv on this, because I've just been given a brief, so yeah, good. Mel will present the slides, but can I first invite Councillor Kendrick to give an introduction?
So we're
Viv,
doing item 17 first, are we, Chair?
Yes.
I didn't know that bit.
I just yeah. So anyway.
Well, if I had spoken about item 16 before 17, I would have said there was a need to read both these reports together, because they're both two different parts of the same issue.
Absolutely.
And this is about the need for early intervention for our children and young people with special educational needs and their families. This report seeks to improve our early identification process and support children with special educational needs by developing a good transformation programme. In the same way that Children's Services was able to use the skills and experience of Leeds Children's Services to work alongside us to improve and develop our children's service, this report seeks agreement to engage an external business partner with the skills, experience and capacity in order to transfer skills, new ways of working to our services and to challenge and highlight gaps in our provision. The aim is to increase quality and reduce demand, and I will propose that the recommendations at point 8 in the report are accepted and supported by Cabinet. But now over to you, Mel.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction. I think I'm just going to have a. I've only got 2 slides, you'll be relieved to know. Can we put them onto slideshow, please? Thank you.
Slideshow.
Okay, the other side. Never mind. I'll start talking to them. So thank you for the time. Sorry, I just need the first slide back. There we go. Lovely. Thank you. Okay, so we thought it was really important for the 2 reports that in front of you just to set out the context. So as you know, we have a council plan with a vision that's set out for what we want to achieve with our residents over the coming years. That council plan has a range of outcomes that we want to achieve. It sets some priorities. We've got some key overarching strategies. And really importantly, and where this proposal sits, is that there's a council transformation fund. And so you'll have seen from the budget that we've put some money aside corporate transformation activity to really help us kickstart the changes we want to make in different areas. So this is the first one to be requesting drawing down funding from that transformation fund to help us improve services for children and families. There will be other asks on the transformation fund in areas such as waste that will come through. Second slide, please. Thank you. Okay, so just in terms of the 2 reports then, so I'm going to take them both together and acknowledge that you'll need to obviously vote on each one separately, but I think it's important, as Councillor Kendrick's already said, that you see these 2 as 2 pieces of work in the same programme. So what we're really trying to do is really transform both the outcomes and the experience of children with needs and disabilities. We see this as a tackling inequalities programme. We know that children who have special educational needs and disabilities experience significant inequalities in their outcomes and in their life experience. And so this is really about trying to turn that around and make the real difference. It's a corporate priority. As I said, it's been we have sustained the work that we've been doing through COVID because we feel it's so important for us. And just to sort of set the scene really is that there was a change in the law in 2014 that introduced a different way of providing support and help for these children and their families. And the law intended that we would provide more help early with less children needing to have formalised plans because of the quality of the help we got early. And what we've seen, not just in Kirklees, but we've seen up and down the country, is that the reverse has happened. That actually what the unintended consequences of the legislation have been is huge numbers. And for us in Kirklees, 44% more children now have a formal statutory plan that recognises their need and puts in place the support that they need. And for us, we believe that actually, if we want to really have better outcomes for our children, that we want to be able to invest early. Our work to date has shown us that we have a really high cost system and we only achieve poor to moderate outcomes for our young people, with most of our spending being on those high interventions. And like any big change programmes, it's going to take us some time and some capacity to do all the right things that we need to do to make sure that we get better outcomes for children, but as importantly, that we have a better relationship with those families that we're working with. So a restorative system that enables us to to work with families right from the early first identification that their child has some additional needs, right the way through into adulthood, and that's really important for us. At the moment, families feel that the system is too adversarial. They feel they have to fight everybody for every bit of support that their child gets, and we've really got to turn that around. So the two proposals bring those together. So the chart just shows you four different areas of work. So the first area of work that we're working on is all the things that is a range of things that we're doing internally to better shape our systems and practice. So embedding restorative practice so that the workforce then are able to engage better and work with families rather than doing to them. We are reviewing the way we make decisions. Families tell us that it's not transparent, that it's decisions by people they don't know, who don't know their children. So we're going to be completely overhauling that. And the paper that you see in paper 16 talks about the fact that we need to change the way we fund schools to make sure that more children are able to receive the care and support they need in mainstream school settings without experiencing high levels of exclusion. At the moment, are too high for this group of children. So we really want to take a different approach. And the first reports ask additional investment into our school system so that the school system is better able to meet those children's needs. The second area then is the things that we've identified that we think we need to do because there's good practice nationally or other local authorities are doing, which we don't have either the capacity or in some cases the skill to be able to do those things for ourselves. So very like the help that we got from Leeds, what we want to do is look for an external partner who can come in, who has the expertise and got a good track record in this area of work to help us. So they will be doing things like developing our outcomes framework and our financial trajectory. So making sure we link the work that we do to achieving a lower cost service that delivers better outcomes. We want to put in place a new front door, which will help schools get the support they need early so that we're able to make sure that children get the support that they need early. We want to change the way we assess children's needs. And we also want the partner to coach our own staff so that after a year, we have an expertise to take on that transformation programme. Part of that work that we're doing then will inform the capital strategy. And as you know, one of our intentions is that children should receive their education in Kirklees, no matter how specialist that is. So we know we've got to put some extra provision in, but we want to make sure that that's the right provision and protects us for many years to come. So the work that's being done around the transformation programme will give us great assurity that when you receive the SEND master plan, that it's exactly what our children need. So we put those things together. No one area of work will deliver all of the objectives alone, and we know that do nothing is not an answer. We know that our children are not getting the best outcomes, our families are not getting the best experiences of the service that we aspire for them to have, but also as you will have seen in the reports, we're in a deficit position in terms of the budget. So it's really important that we invest now to save money and get better outcomes for our children in the future. So I'm hopeful that you can find your way to support this programme. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mel. So is that it, Viv? Do you want to come back in, or do you want to move any recommendations and then?
Well, I did move the recommendations at item 8. I just need a seconder.
Yeah, I'd like to second
I'll
that.
second those.
Oh, sorry, Carol.
Oh.
Yeah, you want to second it? Yeah.
No, I said I'll second the recommendations of both reports.
Okay, thank you very much. We're just taking item 17 first, and then we'll do 16 afterwards. So I don't have anybody's hand up. So Andrea, can you take us through the roll call, please?
Thanks, Chair. Councillor Pandor.
4.
Councillor Davis.
4.
Councillor Kendrick.
4.
Councillor Khan.
4.
Councillor Mather.
4.
Councillor McBride.
4.
Councillor Patterson.
4.
Councillor Scott.
4.
Councillor Turner.
4.
Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. That's carried, Andrea. We'll go to item 16 now. Proposed changes to corporate funding allocations. Is that you, Councillor Patterson?
No, I'm doing it.
Yeah, you're doing it. Okay, yeah. Sorry, Councillor Kendrick.
So as I've already said, need it to be read in conjunction with agenda item 17. We have the ambition, and by we I mean all councillors, we have the ambition that all children and young people in Kirklees have the best start in life. truly believe we want that. We also want our children and young people to live and be educated in Kirklees and make good progress and have good life opportunities. As Mel has been saying, however, some of our children with special needs face inequalities and end up with poorer outcomes. It is essential, in my view, that there needs to be support provided much earlier and interventions to happen much earlier, and for these children and young people to have their needs met in mainstream education wherever possible. This report is about making sure that schools have the resources to meet those needs at the earliest possible point. So therefore, I propose to Cabinet the recommendations at item 6 be accepted. And that's it, Chair.
Carol, are you seconding it?
Yeah, yes, I'll second it.
Okay, we don't have anybody putting their hand up to speak. So, Andrea, can I ask you to take us to the roll call again, please?
Councillor Pandor.
4.
Councillor Davis.
4.
Councillor Kendrick.
4.
Councillor Khan.
4.
Councillor Mather.
4.
Councillor McBride.
4.
Councillor Patterson.
4.
Councillor Scott.
4.
Councillor Turner.
4.
Carried, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 18, Leeds City Region Business Rates Pool Arrangements. Councillor Graham Turner.
Yeah, Chair, thank you. This report seeks Cabinet approval for the Council to once again be part of the Leeds City Region Business Pool for the coming financial year. Unlike previous years, the decision to take part in the rates pool this coming year was a bit more of a considered decision, as the uncertainty around the bounce back of the economy and the potential growth of business rates is somewhat uncertain. Yet again, another understatement, really. But after significant discussions and analysis of the projected business rates growth in conjunction with relevant officers, the decision was taken to once again to recommend to Cabinet that we join the business rates pool. Whilst there is risk, on balance, we think that this is an acceptable risk. Chair, can I ask Cabinet to approve the recommendations found on page 244 of today's agenda?
Yes, I'd like to second the recommendations. I don't see anybody's putting their hands up to speak. Cathy, do you want to speak?
Yeah, it's just a comment, basically. I'd like to thank Councillor Turner and officers for all the time that you are putting into this. It is a risk, but it is worth taking. And you're absolutely right, all the comments that you made. And again, thanks for your time and your effort that you've put into this.
Thank you. Completely agree with that. Yeah, I completely agree. Andrea, can you take us through the roll call, please?
Councillor Pandor.
4.
Councillor Davis.
4.
Councillor Kendrick.
4.
Councillor Khan.
4.
Councillor Mather.
4.
Councillor McBride.
4.
Councillor Patterson.
4.
Councillor Scott.
4.
Councillor Turner.
4.
It's carried, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we consider item 19, we've got item 20, exclusion of the public. But before I do that, can I just check item 21, the confidential papers? Have all Cabinet members read them so that we don't need to go into private session? Yes, I see that as a nod. Right, okay. I know Councillor Patrick is wanting to speak, but what we'll do is we'll get the report presented by Councillor Graham.
McBride.
Oh, sorry, Peter McBride.
It's Peter. It's Peter and me. Peter's doing it.
Yeah. So Peter, and then we'll take questions from Nigel Patrick. Thanks, Peter. Over to you.
Yes, I want to move this report. I think what we have here is a means of stabilising and future-proofing the stadium. The council has taken a key role in the operation of the stadium from day one. That was 25 years ago, and has had to reclaim the stadium at least twice, as it threatened to go under. I mean, others got the credit for it, but essentially it was the council who came to the rescue. Overall, it's cost the council a lot of money. But if you look at it as an investment over a long period of time, it's a very good investment, which has kept for Kirklees a major centre for football, a major centre for rugby league, which no other town the country has got, and that is largely due to the council. So the council deserves great credit for this. But there are other people who deserve credit. It's got to be mentioned. The role that John Harmon played in establishing the stadium in the first place, that was 25 years ago. It was a very creative proposition and a very brave thing to have done. And to have kept the ship afloat for a number of years has been a major achievement. But in the last 7 or 8 years, Andrew Harrison has taken over as chairman of the board and done a fantastic job for us. And he's worked very closely with John in, again, trying to bring a degree of stability. It's always a difficult state of affairs when you're trying to run a football club, a rugby club, and another company which is sort of embracing the two. That has been kept afloat very largely by the goodwill of the council. It is continuing, I think, in a better form, and I think this is a long-term solution which will give to that company a stability that undoubtedly it needs. And I think it's a huge asset to Kirklees that it has this facility on a permanent basis and the access to 2 key sports. So I very much welcome this and the efforts that people have put into achieving this.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Peter McBride, and I'd like to second the recommendations. And I think just to re-emphasise John Harmon, who was a leader many years ago of this council, and he actually was one of the pioneers in getting the stadium up and running, and he's gave a lot of time, a lot of commitment, a lot of his life actually towards the club. And now the new club chairman working hand in glove with John Harmon, and the last 12 months have been very, very difficult. And I think the report does cover it in some detail that this is a new arrangement we've got. This is a new era we're going into, and I'm glad that we've managed to find a way forward. So I thank Councillor Peter McBride and Councillor Graham Turner, who's worked extremely hard behind the scenes with officers. I'm really pleased that we've got into a situation where we can still back the club and the stadium. I'll take cabinet members at the afterwards. So I've got Councillor Nigel Patrick. Nigel, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. It's been brought to my attention that the KSDL board has not met to discuss the content of this report. In fact, some of the KSDL board members didn't even know this report was coming to cabinet. In view of that, wouldn't it be better if the full board was allowed to meet to discuss the content of this report before cabinet made its decision?
We've got David Shepherd online, and because David, the senior director, has actually been leading on this, so I think it's only fair that we hear what David Shepherd can say, because I think Nigel's question is a valid question, to be honest with you. So David, are you there? Can you come on? Are you there? I can see you. David, over to you. Yes.
Yes, Leader, thank you very much. And thank you, Councillor Patrick, for your question. With regards to the board, they have been informed in advance that the Cabinet were going to be considering this item today. Andrew Harrison wrote to the board members last week. He's provided me with a copy of that, and they do have an opportunity to discuss this at their upcoming board meeting in April. Clearly, what the council are being asked to consider today is the council's future investment in the stadium, and whether or not the council wishes to participate in that. The board have been kept fully informed as to progress. And that's a matter for KSDL and Andrew Harrison rather than the councillors in order to update the KSDL board members.
Thank you, David. That's very clear that this is the matter in front of us is for us. The decision that KSDL make will be theirs. So I hope, Councillor Patrick, that clarifies the situation. Okay. Right, Councillor Graham Turner.
Thanks, Shabir. Just to add on to what Peter said, this is a really important step forward in the future of the stadium. The two professional football, professional football and rugby club we have in Huddersfield. And it's right that we do this now. What we did 25 years ago was right then, but now's the time to do something different. And COVID has just probably brought that forward a little bit. So it's the right thing to do at the right time. And I think moving forward, this will prove to be a really successful venture for the new trustees and both football club and the rugby club. We all know that there's been difficulties over the years. People not talking to each other, personality clashes, but this proposal should remove all that so that everybody can, as I say, move forward in a positive manner, and we can enjoy professional sport in Huddersfield for many years to come in what is a fantastic stadium. And don't forget, when it was built, it won the RIBA of that year. It was cutting edge. It needs a bit of TLC now, but yeah, I think I'm happily support this, and just like to thank David Shepherd, if he's still here, for the work he's done, because as I say, we all know that sometimes these can be difficult people to deal with both with different varying interests in there, and I think to broker this deal is a real achievement. So good stuff, and I think it's going to be good moving forward.
Thank you, Graham. I don't have anybody else indicating. Andrea, do you want to take us to the roll call, please?
Thanks, Chair. Councillor Pandor.
4.
Councillor Davis.
4.
Councillor Kendrick.
4.
Councillor Khan.
4.
Councillor Mather.
4.
Councillor McBride.
4.
Councillor Patterson.
4.
Councillor Scott.
4.
And Councillor Turner.
4.
Thank you. So that's carried, Chair.
Thank you very much, Andrea, and thank you very much, members of the Cabinet, and also all the councillors who attended who aren't on the Cabinet, because your contribution has been greatly appreciated, the questions, comments, and that's what this is about. Although we are still in unprecedented, challenging times, working remotely, every contribution is really appreciated and valued. So without further ado, thank you very much. Have a nice evening. Stay safe, and I'll hope to see you soon. Good night.
Thank you. Good night, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.